Kia ora tātou haka wakatimati tēnei wā I te karakia. Kia uru mai a hauora hau ka hau mai ki runga ki raro, ki roto ki waho, rere hau pai mārire. Ko Charles Hunt tōku ingoa, ko te recruitment manager o te Taranaki District Health Board. Kia ora tātou.
Kia ora koutou. I'm Jonathan Albright. I'm Director of Clinical Training at Taranaki District Health Board. We're going to move the screen a little bit to introduce ourselves.
Hi, I'm Shelley. I'm one of the 2 RMO coordinators within our unit.
Kia ora, I'm Desiree, the other RMO coordinator for Taranaki DHB.
Hey guys, my name's Sai. I'm one of the PG1 house officers here.
And I'm Theo. I'm also another PGY1 house officer.
The community that the DHB looks after is over 100,000 people, and the whole purpose of the DHB is to improve the health of that community. The 3 roles of the DHB would be 1, the PHO services, your GP, 2, your community services where people come into your home, it might be home help, home care, district nursing, and the 3rd thing of course is the hospital where you've got your emergency department, your acute care and your elective services where we might plan an operation for you and you'll receive that. Our province has got 1 major city which is buzzing, modern, and then we've got a rural area, quite a large rural mass. So we've got a base hospital, we've also got a rural hospital and 4 health centres which accommodates the whole population. We've got 1,700 staff working here at the DHB. We're extremely welcoming, we've got a multicultural staff and we're reported to be very supportive.
The working environment and the culture here at the emergency department in Taranaki is one of great cooperation. Everybody works extremely hard.
The culture here is probably one of the best things about working at Taranaki DHB. Everyone knows each other's names. We all hang out socially as well with the other multidisciplinary team members like the physiotherapists and occupational therapists. Everyone knows everyone.
I chose to come back to Taranaki for a number of different reasons. Because I had worked here as a registrar and as a house surgeon, and I knew the environment in the region, and I fell in love with the place and with the area around the hospital. To be quite honest, work is work, you can do it anywhere. The region is what drew me back.
It's just a beautiful place. I may be biased, but I just love Taranaki. It's got everything. It meets a whole lot of different people's needs and hobbies.
Taranaki is a very special place for me. I was brought up in Taranaki. I'm local. Working for the hospital here is great because I'm challenged professionally, and when I leave work I can go and look at the mountain, I can go climb the mountain, I can go surfing, I can go swimming. Good cafe scene, lots of good restaurants. It's just an exciting place to be.
You know, as a family, when we were sort of decided to take a leap and go work overseas and give the family an opportunity to go live in another country. We've never been to New Zealand, none of us have been to New Zealand, but we heard quite good things and it looked like there was job opportunities at that time, so it looked like a perfect match for us.
We like to make sure that people in our community get the highest level of service. That would be state-of-the-art machinery, that would be good staff, that will be working really hard to ensure that your healthcare needs are met.
We've got some quite modern equipment. We have a PAC system. We have digital theatre built in that is routinely available for my use. We have very good laparoscopic equipment, which is mainly my field, laparoscopic bowel surgery. The staff around me are very good.
The quality of the facilities are great now that we've got the new wards and the new hospital. It's just a nice environment to work in, and I think the patients and the visitors really enjoy coming here and seeing what we've got on offer.
I think that for people coming to work in the DHB, we have got such a pride in Taranaki and in our DHB. We're a friendly, welcoming culture that wants people to come and work with us, and we want to show our whole province and our health system off. So I think really it's a lovely place to work.
We're very much a medium-sized hospital. Next year we'll be taking 14 first-year doctors. We have pretty much 100% retention of our second-year doctors. So you join a pretty supportive team of first and second-year doctors. The way to a job here would be to contact various people involved in selection. So here we have Charles Hunt and Ashley, who'd be very much involved in selection. Myself as Director of Clinical Training, Taryn, who's Education Officer, and our pre-vocational educational supervisors. What we look for is people that would be interested in our region, who would thrive in our region, and who would have long-term career interests in things that our region needs. There's some contact details here about people you can contact, but I think the more of those people you contact, the more we're aware of you. And if you come here and you visit, if you've done an elective here, one thing I'd say is there's a bit of a myth that we only choose Auckland graduates. It's not true that we only choose Auckland graduates. In fact, this year the majority were Otago graduates in our first year program. Next slide, please. So selection criteria. The cover letter is important because it gives us an idea of your motivation to come here and why this region would be a good fit for you. We want to select people that we think will have a great year. So if you've got interests that match our region, if you've got connections that match our region, whether that be family or friends, or a lot of people write surfing. I don't surf, but I understand there's pretty good surf. But just some reason why we think that you would have a great time here. We also want to think about the long-term future. So people that want to do things in areas that we find hard to recruit. So people that want to do general practice, we have a desperate need of general practitioners, people that would like to work in rural general practice, but it's a range of things. Could be psychiatry, general surgery, emergency. There's all sorts of areas where we can see there's a long-term need for people in our area. And I guess if you said you wanted to do pediatric cardiothoracic transplants and you really liked going to a different group of chamber musicians every week, we would think, oh, I just can't see that person having a great time in Taranaki. So it's more about that you would thrive here, and we'd be looking for people that we thought would just have a really good year and get the most out of the experience, and in turn be more likely to be retained as or come back as long-term staff members in the future. Maybe I will hand over to the PGY1 doctors at this point, who could tell you their side of why they like Taranaki with no threat of repercussions from me. Sorry, Scott.
Sure. Hey guys, I'm Si. I'm one of the PGY1s. I was a TI in Auckland, and I came here for elective, and I always thought I'd be a house officer in Auckland. But when I came here, there were a few things that may sound trivial, but they make a huge difference that kind of made me decide to come here. Mainly because I wanted to go to a place where if I had an interest, I could kind of pursue it, and it'd be an environment where people kind of supplement that. And coming here, you can definitely do that. You know, if you want to be a surgeon, you can get in theatre way more than I saw the house officers doing in Auckland. Or if you want to go to radiology, there's lots of spare time in the week that you can kind of do those things. Some other things, you know, it's so easy to get to work. It's free parking. We live like 30 seconds away. So if we start at 7:30, we're getting out of bed at like 7. So it's much better than if you work in Middlemore. Finish on time most of the time, which is good. Even if one team's busy, we all help each other out. So most of the time we can get away at a reasonable time. It's easy to swap shifts with other house officers, which is good because the roster can sometimes not be what you want, and it's easy to just sort it out the way to plan trips and whatnot. Like I said, hands-on procedures, you can do a lot more of those. You know, we do ultrasound guided lines routinely, chest drains and stuff like that. The money, we get paid at non-urban rate here, and there's 6% KiwiSaver match. So there are some people working way more than us in busier centers, getting paid way less. So that's a bonus. There's remote access from home, which I noticed some DHBs don't have, which is really useful for us. We can print out the list way before we get to work and stuff, saves a lot of time. And yeah, you can help out if you want to do admitting. There's opportunities to do those, but those are some of the reasons why I came, and I haven't regretted it at all. So,
but I was a TI over at North Shore last year, and I've always thought I was going to work in North Shore. But I did a 5-week elective over here and really enjoyed the place. People are really friendly, a lot more friendly than they are in bigger centers. I really like the outdoor activity that comes with the place. If you're a surfer, it's a great place for you. If you like tramping and walking, there's always walks around with the hospital around the region. There's never too little for that. Yeah, so if you're an outdoorsy person and like to do sports, there's definitely the region for you. In terms of the working environment, like Sai said, we help each other out. It's really good. We get home in time. The commute is super easy. And we do a lot more hand-on procedures than we do in bigger centers. Like we do lines by ourselves. We do catheters and chest drains, all that stuff that people in bigger centers may not get the opportunity to do, which, yeah, we really enjoy doing that. But Sai's pretty much talked about the roster stuff, so we'll leave it at that.
And sometimes people think, small hospitals, you have to be a TI here, but we were both TIs in other centers, so I wouldn't be discouraged by that. If you come and meet the RMO unit and whatnot, put a good name and you show that, you would be suited to this place, you still have a pretty good chance of getting a job. Yeah, it's probably it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good summary. I'm not sure what the next slides are going to say, but before I forget, the most important thing is that you understand the ACE matching process. So we get really distressed people who say, I put Taranaki number 2 because I thought that, somehow there'd be an equal weighting. People who put us number 1, they will get the jobs. And if you put us number 2, 3, 4, it becomes highly variable because it's all about, we rank the applicants and then the applicants are just given out as all the ones. So whoever's on that list is high at that list and wrote 1 gets the job. You could be the best applicant and the top of our ranking, but if you write number 2, there's no accounting for that in the ACE matching system. So you have to understand the matching process. And if you were going to say that we're your top priority, you should, you're going to put us number 1, you should say you're putting us number 1. And we want the people that really want to be here and would be a good fit for the team. It doesn't balance the employer's preferences. It's based on your preferences. And it's a real shame when ACE Match comes out and somebody's misunderstood that and thinks, well, I thought I'd be 3rd on their list, and if I put 2 there, that'll average out and I'll get the job. It goes out on what you put number 1, and most people get their number 1 choice around the country. So you have to understand that. But in the last couple of years, it hasn't been just the TIs got the jobs. So people with a wide range of backgrounds have got the jobs. And when we think, you're a TI here, we think if you work to Otago, you don't have that opportunity to be a TI. So we have to weigh up, if you did studentships and electives here, we would weight that equally to have been a TI here. We won't wait if you bought a house here because that would discriminate, as people that can afford a house will get jobs here. So we try to be really fair and transparent about a really fair process for all applicants. It's not a closed shop application process at all. Facilities, maybe I could get you guys to describe what you think of the facilities and the meals and the after hours roster, if you just want to reconfirm what you've already said.
Yeah, the facilities are good. It's a good size hospital. There's a brand new Gen Med, Gen Surg, Ortho, Peds, and OFA's ward, which they're just the right size. I feel like each 130 beds and easy to get around and whatnot. The meals are great. Just got a new chef who stepped it up a little bit as well, so it's even better. There is the rec center, which is super cool. It's just on hospital. There's a squash court, a gym, a basketball court. We ball, and a swimming pool. Yeah, we ball there quite often. You can just go there straight after work, and it's like $2.50 a week or something.
That's $2.50.
Yeah, $2.50. Yeah, a week. After hours roster. Yeah, there's the long day, which is from 4 till 11, which you're there's one surgical one, there's one medical one, and you cover all the medical wards and all the surgical wards. Sounds scary, but it's the time where the most learning is done, and it's adequately supported. There is a registrar as well who, if it does get out of hand, you can ask for support. But we found those are the most enjoyable times for us. Usually about 7 long days per quarter and 2 weekends, which is we found to be quite manageable, and you can swap them around as you see fit. And then after you gen med, you do nights in your first year. There's a set of PAR nurses. I don't know what it stands for, but patient at risk nurses who, when it's a real sick patient, they're really handy. They're really experienced, and they kind of sometimes save your ass a little bit. And if there's procedures need to be done, there's like 10 IV lines. They're around to help. So yeah, that's a great addition to this hospital.
Oh, food. We really enjoy the food. I don't know, we're not picky eaters, so there's a wide variety and selection of food, I guess, from vegetarian to non-vegetarian to
free food tastes good anyway.
But free food tastes good.
So I can speak to some of this. Annual leave, it's good to be organised. We encourage everybody to book 3 weeks of leave as soon as they join, so that if they really need leave, they've got some sort of guaranteed throughout the year. The rotations for the first years are pretty much preset, the PGY1 rotations. So everyone would do a medical, everyone would do a surgical, no one would do relief. Occasionally someone does a community-based attachment in first year, but they usually do those in second years. We can, if you're a community-minded RMO, we can actually facilitate more than one community-based attachment over the 2 years, which is probably quite a difference from some other hospitals where you may not get a CBA, but everybody does one. There's training every week. There's house surgeon tutorials every week. There's extra programs and opportunities around that. Do another sort of 10 weeks at the start of the year on acute deterioration patients. Thinking about doing that whole project in the orientation week rather than over the first 12 weeks of the year based on feedback. And we do provide a lot of support for training. So in terms of your first year, you'll get your runs, but in your second year, you can go to 2 courses and we'll fully pay for those 2 courses, which might be a diploma, might be the basic course, an echo course, but we prioritize investment in training. So every PGY2 would have access to 2 training activities based on their career plan. And we've been recognised as being very good at supporting training in that regard by Medical Council.
The first question, where are the community-based placements? Are they in New Plymouth or are they around Taranaki?
So they're mainly in New Plymouth. There is one that's in Hawera, and we would provide you with a car, possibly carpooling. You wouldn't have to drive yourself at your own expense down to Hawera, which is about an hour's drive away. So it's the rural hospital / rural community CBA. The rest are in New Plymouth. There's one in public health, which is really popular. There's one in pediatrics, which we've just developed, where a lot of people our pediatric department is really popular. So there's a lot of desire to get involved with the pediatric service here. There's a hospice one. The hospice love having a house surgeon, and they do like meaningful. Sometimes people say they feel they're a bit of a tag along on some of the community-based attachments, but definitely there are some very engaging community-based attachments in Taranaki. You guys wouldn't have done one yet, eh? Yeah. So there's a Psych Jerry's one, and there has been one that was in a accident emergency centre, but that one's on hold for now. But there are enough for everybody to do a CBA, and they're desirable enough that we do get house surgeons that ask to do more than one, and we can facilitate that. Do you support house officers doing the Dunedin program for Part 1 exams? We don't like our interns to prepare for their Part 1 exam when they're interns, because we want them to enjoy a year of their career. There's real problems with if you take all the leave for that, how do you still pass the run? Some hospitals take a very dim view of the Dunedin Part 1 course. We don't, but we would encourage people to do it in their second year and do that exam in their second year rather than their first. Do you guys think that's reasonable? So you're a future surgical trainee. What's your view on the Dunedin Part 1 course?
Yeah, when I joined, I was talking like that guy as well. But yeah, once you get here, you realize that doing it in your first year, there's no really added benefit to it, and you're learning so much on the wards. You kind of don't want to take time, and you are busy. Like you can't. It's quite difficult to study on some of the busy runs, so it's something that's not really feasible. Me and Theo both thought we could probably do it, but it's not really worth it. And the Dunedin thing's like 5 weeks, so yeah, it'd be difficult to pass the run in your first year because those are quite cool runs, Gen Med and Gen Surg and stuff. So yeah, I mean, people have done it. They set them in February of the PGY2 year, which is getting it done pretty early as well. And if you want to run that can facilitate that study, the RMO unit's usually really helpful in facilitating that and doing an order for you. So yeah.
Some smaller DHBs only take one set of paired applicants. This is not true. We just, what we do is we rank the two people, and then we put them at the same of the two of the higher ranks. So if you're in a partnership, you're judged in Taranaki based on the stronger applicant, not the weaker applicant, and not the combination of two. So yeah, how many PGY1 positions are there, please? So the last couple of years it's been 15, but this year it's reducing to 14 or 13 because of the way it's the government is redistributing PGY1. It's not based on our preference to have less. We've just been directed that we're taking one or two less. What runs are available in PGY2? So everybody does a CBA, everybody does relief. Out of the other things, a lot of people do 6 months emergency medicine, 6 months obstetrics and gynecology. Some people have a preference for getting the most desirable community-based attachment. In second year, we have a matching system that everybody gets the one thing they want the most, and then we share out the rest of the work. This year, or the year we're in now, 14 out of 15 people got their number one choice. There were 8 ED people, places, and 9 people put it number one. So one person was still on ED, but otherwise every single PGY2 got the run they wanted the most.
And PEDS. PEDS is another one.
Yeah, PEDS is tough. PEDS generally take third years because it's so competitive. It's really hard to get a PGY2 job in PEDS. They come up at short notice. Otherwise, I don't think anyone's got PEDS in the last 10 or 15 years, but people do get community PEDS in their second year, but they won't get PEDS in their second year because it's so popular. How challenging is it to join as a PGY2 if you're unsuccessful in PGY1? It's so variable. It's less challenging if you swap part way through the PGY2 year. So if you wrote to us in March or April, you'd have more success. It's pretty hard to get right at the start of the year for PGY2. As a TI in Dunedin who hasn't done my elective in Taranaki, am I disadvantaged getting a job in New Plymouth? I think if you come up and you visit and you've got really strong reasons for why it's such a great fit for you, you can still make a pretty good choice. But if you don't visit, if you've never been here, it's hard to know how much you would like working here. Some people will write, you know, I spent my childhood holidays in New Plymouth, or I've got extended family, or several of my friends are going, I've got links, that sort of thing. That helps in the cover letter. And the next question would be for the HO, so I'll leave that for them.
Working for Taranaki. To be honest, not like comparing it to our friends, you know, over in more urban centers such as Auckland, Hamilton, I think we're kind of winning. And that's in terms of, you know, work-life balance. That's in terms of the support that we're given, the pay, the runs that we're wanting. Yeah, we have it pretty good. And plus, you know, if you're outdoorsy, you have a lot of things to do around here rather than being stuck in traffic for a few hours on end.
Yeah, we're biased, but I mean, there are things we don't like about work, but it's not because it's Taranaki Hospital. It's just general systemic things about work that we don't like. There's not, I can't think of any disadvantages. Some people say coming to a smaller place, you don't get to learn as much because, you know, in Middlemore, you're like busy, but we found that they're just, the quality of learning is more. They do more things, but, you know, we might get our jobs done by 12 or 1 and then go assist in an appendix or something, or go down to radiology, have a chat about the scans, go chat to Jonathan in ICU, see some patients with him. Or you can just see or have lots of patients and do lots of paperwork in the afternoon. I mean, you can decide who's learning more there. So
right, we'll change that. Young players. And I just want to emphasise around the letters, it's quite important because that's how we get to know the applicant and the TI. And so really well crafted, and letters give us all the information to help us. And when we have a look at all the other, I think there's about 10 criteria we look at. A lot of it is off the references for that, and we do make an assessment of the references and how your referees have rated you. I think it's from 1 to 7 along those lines. So that's quite important as well for it. The other area that we do look at, and it's where your letter comes handy, is, you know, what have you done culturally? What are you seeking culturally in terms of Maori health, etc., Pacifica health? So treat your letter as something very important because we don't know you, and so that's going to be how we're going to make a lot of our assessment. So I just wanted to stress that.
Can I chip in with one more thing? I might no.
Yeah, of course.
I just wanted to echo what Charles said. So this year we have rebooted Te Harakeke, or our Maori Health Service. So we're going from 4 people in a Maori Health unit to 17, and we do rank Maori candidates. All else being equal, they will get preferential ranking, and we'd love to see more young Maori doctors come through. That's something that we take very seriously in terms of, we don't have a lot of Maori SMOs, so to get that balance in the future, we do need to positively recruit in that regard. So that's something that we take very seriously, and hoping to see the benefits of that investment in the next couple of years. Thanks. Yeah. So I guess when we look at a couple, we don't want to put the couple right on. If we've got say 13 or 14 spaces, the top 23 are probably all going to get jobs. So we try not to rank a couple 23, 24, or right off at that cutoff where selection tends to end. So we do factor that in as well, as like a couple where one partner has really strong ties and a case will go quite far up the rankings, and another couple, all things being equal, we try not to put couples in a position where the ranking's going to split the couple, but it's just a factor. It's tricky. We try to just not end up in a position where only one pair of a couple gets a job. The next question was, put Taranaki number 1. That's a really good question. So if you went back 3 years, you had quite a lot of people missing out. And when they miss out, if the hospital they put number 2 only put number 1s in the ranks, then they can drop right out of the rankings altogether. So where you put number 1 is I think's got to be where you really want to work. And what you put number 2 has got to be a place that doesn't only take number 1s. In the last 2 years, we have gone to the general poll and we've not had 15 people put us number 1. But I'd hate to give people the impression that it's a given you'll get the job here if you put us number 1. In other years, it was pretty competitive, and we are taking less applicants this year. So I think it would be a bit mischievous of me to say put us number 1, you'll get the job. But whatever you put number 1, make sure number 2. I think it would be very unwise to put Tauranga in number 2, because the chance Tauranga is going to take number 2s is pretty small. So you do have to factor that in, that whatever you put number 1 is the place you really want to go to, and number 2 is a place that's not so popular that number 2s won't get a look in. So there's a bit of judgment that's up to the applicants there, really.
I'll just jump in, Jonathan.
Yeah.
And I'll just make the strong point that you guys actually don't get to see the preference rankings of the applicant at all. So it's a blind ranking system. So as far as you're concerned, everyone who's applied to you, you know, that's a number 1 preference as far as you're concerned. So I just want to just let the students know who are watching and who will watch online again. Employers don't see your preference rankings, and those preference rankings that you have for employers is not something that an employer can discuss with an applicant as well. I'm sorry, I just had to chime in there because that's just...
No, it's all good. And yeah, absolutely. And the only reason we know is because we went to the pool.
Yeah.
So if you only had number 1s, you wouldn't go to the pool because you wouldn't have a issue. So all that we know is that there can't have been 15 people that put us number 1 because we ended up 1 short and we had to go back to the general pool. And you're quite right. We don't know, but when we don't fully match, we know that we didn't get that number of number 1s, and that's all that we know.
Well, thanks for the PGY ones obviously just popped up. But Jonathan, Charles, thanks very much for contributing to the webinar today. There's been some really good questions from the students at the end as well. And I don't know, Charles, if you want to do a closing karakia by any chance or anything else like that, but we can, I think that will pretty much conclude our event today.
Yeah, no, well, tēnei mihi puri pokara ki kia koutou, ko wakatau i rungi tēnei kaupapa mō tēnei ahi. Anō reira he karakia. Wakatakati au ki te uru, wakatakati au ki te tunga, kia mā kina ki ota, kia mā taratara ki tai. Kia hi ake ana te atukura e tio, he uke, he au, tihei, Māori ora. Kia ora.
Kia ora.